What's going on YouTube? So the three-row family SUV market is extremely competitive, and there are a lot of options out there. Now, one of the longest running and most popular nameplates is the Honda Pilot, which is why it's a big deal when Honda makes adjustments to this model, which is exactly what they're doing for 2026. We're standing next to this refreshed 2026 Honda Pilot, and we want to know, does this take on the Grand Highlander, Chevy Traverse, and other options really well? Let's go ahead and find out. So let's jump right in with the exterior design. I think you can see right from the start here, they have certainly made some adjustments to the overall design, and that begins up here in the front. So a lot of people thought that they might take a very Passport-like approach to this redesign, but instead they went the opposite direction. They made the grille a lot larger than what you get in the Honda Passport, and as you can see, everything's a lot more squared off than before and kind of goes down a little bit further. And I think this gives it a more tough presence, which is going to be more in line with what people are looking for in this segment. Now, there'll continue to be a wide assortment of trim levels available. We today have the TrailSport. That's going to be the little bit more off-road capable version. And the finish of the grille is going to be a gray for the TrailSport model, and you'll also see the TrailSport branding through there. As you can see, we have a gloss black accent that goes across the top of the grille as well as the lower part. And then down here, we have a very chunky finish showing off that extra capability. Now, underneath, you'll find some skid plates for the TrailSport model, of course. And then let's go over here and take a look at the headlights. These are mostly the same as they were before, so you'll continue to find standard LED headlights on all models. These are reflector LEDs, and you have your daytime running light at the bottom part and your turn signal indicator up top. Additionally, many of the trim levels come with fog lamps. Now, moving on to the wheels, you get some new looks for 2026. The sizes are going to range from 18 inches to 20-inch alloys. We've got an 18-inch alloy here on the TrailSport. The finish of this kind of matches with the finish on the grille with the light gray. And of course, we have all-terrain tires for this off-road capable version. You get a nice gloss black finish if you choose something like the Black Edition at the top end of the lineup. Speaking of the top end of the lineup, if you get one of the loaded models, you'll have all the features with the mirrors, including auto dimming and power folding, in addition to heating and blind spot monitoring.
Now, overall vehicle length for the Pilot will remain about 199 inches, which is a good size for this segment, but it is slightly smaller than things like a Toyota Grand Highlander, for instance. Now, when it comes to design, there's a couple things to talk about. So first of all, this TrailSport does have the blacked out door handles, the blacked out window surrounds, and you also notice these raised roof rails. Those are actually going to be standard equipment for all 2026 Pilots, so I think that's a nice addition. Also new is the paint color selection. So they have 3 new paint colors, including what we have sitting here today. This is ash green. We first saw this on models like this Honda CR-V sitting next to me, and I think it looks absolutely fantastic. That does replace that blue color that you previously saw on the TrailSport models. Now, as we walk around to the rear of the Pilot, I have to say you're going to see that signature Pilot look, and there's definitely not as many changes back here as there are in the front, but there are a few tweaks for 2026. So let's go ahead and break into some of those elements. We have a spoiler up here at the top. We have a rear window wiper. Our Honda badging is back here, and then straight through the center, very prominently, is Pilot branding. And as you can see, we have the orange accenting. That's a TrailSport signature element, and I think it looks really quite good, especially paired with this green color. Now, let's take a look at our taillights. Our taillights are going to be partially LED, it appears. So we have the LED brake light. It looks like we have an incandescent reverse light and potentially an incandescent turn signal. So that does look to be unchanged for 2026. And then as we drop down to the lower fascia, this is pretty aggressive down here. You will notice that we have the tow hitch, and that's because this vehicle can tow up to 5,000 pounds. And let's talk safety. This is a family SUV after all, and you are going to have all of your active safety features as standard equipment this year, including things like traffic jam assist. Honda's also adding post-collision braking as standard equipment for this new refreshed Pilot. But there's a lot to talk about on the inside and big tech upgrades. But first,
if you're new here, we're brothers, and we've been reviewing cars since we were 12
and 16. We started young, and since then, we've reviewed over 2,000 cars at every price point.
No matter what you're looking for, from our long-term vehicle videos to our side-by-side comparisons, we'd love for you to subscribe to be a part of our Car Confections family.
Let's learn a lot and have some fun with all the latest cars. All right, let's move on to the interior. Of course, you are going to have a smart entry system, as you would expect. And let's open up here and take a look inside. So right from the start, you might be able to notice some of those 2026 updates. But before I really dig into those, I want to start by talking about the seats, which themselves are updated as well. So you continue to have the selection between cloth, leatherette, and real leather seats. However, we have some new options this year. For the TrailSport specifically, you're looking at the brand new brown interior. So as you can see, we've got the brown finish. We have a orange accent stitch, and then we have the dark black on the outside edges. I think these seats look absolutely fantastic, and it gives you that additional color choice from what you previously had. Now, also on the Elite and Black Edition, there are some changes to the seats as well, so that's going to come with a new suede accented and diamond stitch seat to give you a little bit more of an elevated feel over the rest of the Pilot lineup. Now, the seats themselves are going to be power adjusting across the lineup with two-way lumbar support. Also, models with leather will come with memory seating. But let's go ahead and climb inside. Now that we're inside the vehicle, you know it's time to check the rest of the cabin materials. So we'll start out with the door trim. You'll see the same brown leather material through here on the armrest, as well as the center section. We have a black accent through there, and then a soft touch plastic along the top part of the door trim, as well as the entire upper part of the dashboard. More of the brown leather runs through here. And down on the lower panels, we do not have any padding, but everything feels nice and solid as you expect from the Honda brand. Now, obviously, we're indoors today at an auto show, so I'm not going to fire up the engine itself, but we can start to dig into some individual details. The first thing I want to highlight is this right here with our gauge cluster. So this is the 10.2-inch digital gauge cluster, and what's news for 2026 is the fact that this is now standard on every single trim level, even your base model, and you'll be able to reconfigure this with several different types of designs. As we move back to the steering wheel, you'll notice that we have a nice leather-wrapped steering wheel. Again, we've got that signature orange stitching here for the TrailSport model, and many of your upper trims will come with a heated steering wheel. It will be manual tilt and telescoping for your adjustment, though, on all trim levels. Now, as we turn over here to our storage, that's always been a very strong area for the Pilot. Honda hasn't really changed this, and that's a good thing. So when we open up the center console, you're going to still see a very deep console. It's going to have plenty of space for some donuts, which we look forward to testing out in the future when we have one back home. Up in front of that, though, you'll see you have two cup holders, and then you've got this large storage area with the special texture for the TrailSport. We have a wireless phone charging pad on the left-hand side, a little bit more storage right there, and then a very large passenger storage shelf, which is going to be great for your occupants. Now moving on, we still have the signature Honda push-button shifter on board, and when I go ahead and trigger the camera, you'll be able to see our 360-degree camera system. This is a new standard feature now for the touring trim level for 2026. And on the TrailSport, you do have the off-road camera ability as well. Down below, we have our drive mode controllers. Here's our hill descent control, our auto start stop button, and then you have your brake hold and electronic parking and brake on all trims. In the center section, Honda has kept this classic, so I think a lot of people are very happy to see you just have full physical controls here for your climate adjustments. This is a 3-zone automatic climate setup, and then most trims come standard with heated seats. Ventilated seats are also on your upper end examples, including the Elite and Black Edition. Now, as far as the audio system is concerned, you have a physical volume knob, and you do have an available Bose sound system on your upper end examples. But let's not waste any more time here. Let's get to a big highlight that I think a lot of people have been anxiously awaiting, honestly, since this Pilot first debuted. And they asked, why did this have the 9-inch screen instead of the 12.3-inch screen? Well, Honda has fixed this for 2026. So we now have a standard 12.3-inch display for every single trim level of the 2026 Pilot. Now, as you can see, this has the latest software on board. So on our model, we have Google built in. So you can do things like Google Maps right here natively in the system itself. You can also integrate with Google Assistant and go to the Google Play Store and load in your own apps. You also have wireless Android Auto and Apple CarPlay again for all the trim levels. Up top, We have an auto-dimming mirror with 3 HomeLink universal remotes. And as you can see, we continue to have a panoramic sunroof available on the top models with opening in the front.
All right, so let's talk about the rear seats in the Honda Pilot. Now, for the refresh, this isn't really going to change a lot. So when it comes to overall legroom, we're sitting at about 40.8 inches of legroom and a little over 40 inches of headroom. Those are very good figures for this model. It definitely makes it class competitive when it comes to those space figures. And, you know, unfortunately, we are at an auto show, so I don't have time to get my rulers out and all that. But, of course, stay tuned. We will be covering this in more detail even later on. So definitely subscribe if you want to learn more about this product. Now, in terms of the seats themselves, you may notice that we have captain's chairs. Previously, we had the bench seat with the removable center area. We will double check on this, but I do believe that it's, you know, still going to be an available option to give you that 8-passenger seating. As tested today, we are sitting at 7-passenger seating, and we just have this, you know, area here in the center for you to easily walk through to the third row of seats, and certainly these captain's chairs are quite comfortable. Now, let's also talk about features here in the center. So we have vents here. We also have our own zone of climate because it is a 3-zone setup. And new for 2026 to the TrailSport trim are the heated back seats. Ventilated back seats are no longer, or are not going to be offered on the Honda Pilot, but we do have the heated seats on more trim levels this year. A household outlet, 2 USB-C ports, and just a little bit more space down below there. Now, let's take a look at the door trim. It's very practical. So we have rear window sunshades, and we also have a ton of door storage. That's really the thing that stands out the most, is you have nice materials, and look at all the cup holders and door pockets that you can just stick things for the family. It's definitely a very family-oriented model. And let's go ahead and check out the third row. In order to get back here, it is quite easy. You just use that button on the side, and that's going to allow the seat to slide out of the way. Of course, you could also use that walk through in the center area of this one. And let's go ahead and hop back here into the third row for the Honda Pilot. This is a bright spot for this vehicle, that's for sure. Overall legroom is going to remain the same, about 32 inches of legroom, about 38 inches of headroom, which makes this one of the largest third rows in the entire segment. Certainly that's one of this vehicle's strongest areas. And as you can see, the thigh support is pretty good as well. You have 3 seats back here. So like I said, overall seating capacity is 7 on this one. 8 is a maximum. And then as far as features, we have 2 cup holders on each side, vents on the side as well as a USB port. And honestly, this is a very comfortable third row. So as far as how this rates on the third row rating scale, I'm going to say this is definitely fit for adults. So walking up to the cargo area, I do want to point out a standard power tailgate is going to be offered on, I believe, almost every trim for 2026. So that's definitely a nice addition. And let's talk about overall cargo capacity for the Pilot. That's another area where this model really shines. So we're sitting at about 19 cubic feet behind the third row of seats, 49 cubic feet behind the second row, and as a maximum 87 cubic feet. Now, for those of you familiar with the segment, you will know that those are actually quite good figures. It's not quite as good as a Toyota Grand Highlander, but it is one of the better options in the segment. Speaking of the segment, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/vehicle rankings, because on our website, we've looked at all of the options in this segment: Grand Highlander, Pilot, Palisade, Telluride, all the options, and ranked them in the most important categories to you all in this segment. Things like cargo, third row, luxury features in the front, powertrain experience, and value are all detailed for you on our website, so you can see the best options in each of those categories. So if you want to make an informed buying decision, definitely check that out. Now, back to the Pilot, you will see that we have, the third row of seats. You can easily fold those down just by using these little straps. Unfortunately, they have not added a power folding third row to the Pilot this year, so that's something I wish they maybe would have added for the refresh, but they had no mention of that in their press release. And then down below the floor, we do have a little bit of extra space, and we also have a spare tire integrated under here. Of course, that's important for a TrailSport model like this.
Now, by this point in the video, you're probably wondering, what is powering this 2026 Pilot? What is going to be the same powertrain as you had before, which is a 3.5-liter V6 engine, making 285 horsepower. That, of course, is becoming something that's a little bit rare in the 3-row family SUV segment, as a lot of models are switching to turbocharged 4-cylinder engines. However, I do want to point out there will still not be a hybrid available. Honda has actually already announced that they have a next generation hybrid system for larger SUVs in development, but that's likely not to be available until the next generation of the Pilot. Now, this is going to be paired with a 10-speed automatic transmission. You have front-wheel drive or available all-wheel drive. And of course, we don't have fuel economy ratings for 2026, but we can give you an idea based on the 2025 ratings. The 2025 all-wheel drive was rated at 21 mpg, and we do expect that to be the same for 2026. Now, there's a couple extra things that Honda has said they tweaked. First of all, they said they improved the steering feel and precision for 2026. They also said that they made some enhancements to the sound insulation, shooting for 2 to 3 decibels quieter than the 2025 model. Of course, those are two things that we really look forward to putting to the test when we have this vehicle out on the road. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel when we fully test this model and put all those things to the test.
And let's talk pricing for the Pilot. So we don't have official 2026 pricing. Of course, that will come out when this vehicle is closer to being on sale. However, we do have some 2025 prices for reference. It starts at around 40 grand. I would expect maybe for 2026, it'll start around 41,000 or so. And then as you move up the trim structure, the Black Edition was previously around 54 grand. So I'd say maybe $56,000 might be a top point for the Pilot in 2026. And speaking of availability, Honda says this will be arriving at dealers in December, so you really won't have to wait much longer at all if you want to pick up one of these refreshed Pilots. Speaking of, if you want to buy one, we'd encourage you to go to carconfections.com/newcarquotes. The reason you should do that is because we have a tool on our website that'll connect you with local car dealers in your area to get you the best price. It's also going to give you access to invoice pricing information, which is a great tool to use while dealership negotiating. If you'd like to take advantage of that, as well as things like our monthly payment tool, you can find a link to that in our video description, as well as a pinned comment down below. And guys, that wraps up our in-depth review of the refreshed 2026 Honda Pilot. Of course, we hope you enjoyed watching this video, and if you did, we'd appreciate it if you hit that subscribe button down below. By subscribing, you're going to be a part of our Car Confections family, and we have a lot of fun on this channel, and I promise you won't want to miss out. We will also be covering this Pilot in a lot more detail coming shortly, so if you want to learn more about this model, definitely stay tuned to the channel. If you're already a part of our family, thank you so much for your continued support, and we'll catch you next time as we sample more of the latest automotive delicacies.